Much for coming out to Cinema Pride today. Let's give the film another round of applause. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting LGBTQ cinema here in Los Angeles. And congratulations on the film. What was it, just to start off, I guess, if you just want to formally introduce yourself to the audience, and then just mention kind of like what it was like seeing this film with an audience.
My name is Kim Anno, and this is Kyung Lee, and we both live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Julia, our executive producer, is there too. It's always great to hear it with an audience and see with an audience where people kind of react and, you know, where they laugh. You kind of want some laughter now and again, you know, because it is kind of a heavy story, but you know, you do want that. So you listen for it and you hope, and I think you guys responded in some good ways.
And I guess kind of love to hear about kind of the filmmaking process and kind of what led you to want to tell this story and interweaving all of these different personal stories, the political activism, because it's all very well kind of weaved together.
And that would due to the brilliance of Kyung Lee sitting here, this editor. And always the editor of a documentary is completely different than an editor of a staged film. You don't have a script and you have to make the story. And Kyung made it in a very expert and nuanced way, I believe. So I'd like to thank Kyung Lee. So how did we get there? So I was making another film, part of a series called Men and Women in Water Cities, which is an ongoing series that's about sea level rise and climate change and adaptation, kind of like cultural adaptation to what's going to be happening all around the world on the coastal communities. And we were there filming in Key West, and we had some Miami actors and some Cuban actors, and we were there and they said, you know, there's a lot going on with the scientists between the Key West scientists and the Havana scientists. You should really get those stories. And so we went to do that. We went to film the scientists and also the economists, like the people in the who are in charge of the tourist industry. We wanted to know the tourist impact on the island. That's something I've been thinking a lot about, is tourism, both the bad and good sides, or the complex ideas around tourism. And while we were there, it was during the Jornada, which is the Internacional celebration and conference for the LGBT community. And I just started filming. I thought, oh my God, this is a story, I better start. And I had no beginning, I had no end. I was just going on and on and on. And then went to different cities, 5 different cities on the island, to kind of hear all the stories so that we could get people inside government and outside government. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the film. And for you as an editor, what was sort of your approach to, curious, like just how much footage maybe you had to look through, and especially kind of shaping the structure of the film?
Right. There was a lot of footage. And then,
Too much.
And then, you know, there are a lot of characters. They don't necessarily like interact in the film. I guess they're friends, but they live in different cities. They're all LGBTQ plus activists. But it was a challenge to kind of like, you know, I mean, make it look like, I mean it is, but it's like, you know, one seamless thing. And then, you know, in a sense that they are fighting for the same thing. But yeah, how I did that, I just don't remember. But a lot of feedback, and it's a teamwork, yes.
How long did it take for the film to come together in total?
We started filming in 2016 when Obama opened the door. And I had always wanted to go. I was kind of curious about Cuba, and so we just started then, and then we went back every year for the last 6 and 7 years. All during the Trump years, we were going back, and most recently for the referendum.
So like in 2018, right, there was the initially, yes.
Yeah, they passed the Constitution. They redid their Constitution after 40 years or so. And that was like rewriting some other laws. There was decriminalization of LGBT people at that time, but marriage equality failed then. And that was because of the giant church, the Metodista, and which is the most evangelical church. It's very different than the Methodists here in the States. It's much more conservative and evangelical. And those kind of churches are just exploding all over our country and the rest of the continent and the Caribbean. So there was over 300,000 members, and they created a petition against the Constitution, and that's when number 68, it was 68, it failed. And we were all the activists were saddened, but they were like, no, we're gonna keep going, we're not gonna let this go. And so we decided we were gonna end it at 68 with a kind of a bittersweet ending, but then we just thought, oh, let's wait and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this film is obviously about a lot of heavy subjects, but it is also a celebration of Cuban culture and life. And I'm curious, just like for you as a filmmaker, you as an editor, what was important to capture about Cuban culture and sort of just the people that you were meeting and interviewing?
Well, Cuban music, let me just say, is one of the most respected and challenging and varied and exquisite music on the planet Earth. So that was like a big bar. We really had to live up to that. We do have the parents of our composer here, Mark Zollinger's parents, if they want to wave. That's our composer.
Thank you, Mark.
And thank you, Mark. And he is from Brazil, but we also integrated, and he wrote some songs that were quite Cuban in nature. And this was his first feature film too, so that was cool. And then culture really is a buoyant thing in Cuba. The theater, the performance, the music, the singing, the writing, the film industry is alive and well in Cuba. There are 2 film schools. And so, you really have that kind of a bar. These are people who really think about culture, number one, even in the space of, deprived economic conditions. There's not enough medicine, there's not enough food. The food is not available in the same way to each area. Havana has a lot more privileges that some of the other provinces don't have. So as Ramon Silverio says to us, culture will either save us or destroy us. And in this case, he kept the culture together towards the goal of liberation of LGBT people. And I think that was one of the things that was a really strong thing. I mean, to go out into the countryside to a town of 100 people, and then set up a drag show and reward the children and do commedia dell'arte and all these things with the population was so effective. I can just imagine what it would be like if we went into tiny towns in Nebraska or Texas and set up a drag show and did the same thing. We might be killed, it's very different. So I was just amazed at the kind of brilliance of that.
Right, yeah. Kim said it well, yeah. Trying to highlight the performance aspect of the activism. Yeah, that's what I tried to do.
Yeah, I think that really came across in the film. And I guess just for any, maybe this might be helpful for any filmmakers or people here who are also in the industry, maybe just things you kind of took away from this filmmaking process, things that you'll take from just this whole process into whatever you're doing next.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, don't give up. Finishing is good.
It's a long, long, winding road, as everyone knows. It certainly is not going to benefit me financially. Let's say that. But the story is so important, not just to Cuba, but to the world. And we're in a situation now where there's 800 bills against our communities across the United States, and people are being, you read about it on the news, just hurt and tortured and killed. And so to see a story where things wrapped around and people kind of moved from one place to another, to me was really important. And I really am glad that I could put that out to history.
Yeah. so beautiful just to have this piece of history recorded and sort of the archive of it. As our time is kind of wrapping up, I wanted to open up to the audience if anyone has any questions.
My question is, where are you going to show this next? Like, is it going to be available on streaming? Are you going to put it on YouTube? I would love to send this to a bunch of people.
So it's making the rounds around the world. This week it's also been shown in Lima at Outfest in Peru, where we won 2 awards, which was super exciting. And in November it goes to Glasgow, and in October it goes to Albuquerque. You know, it's kind of like that, you know, the show is on the road type of thing.
Yeah.
And eventually we hope to get some kind of distribution situation where people can see it at their leisure. But right now it's just like one city at a time.
Yeah, go for it.
Kind of a filmmaker to filmmaker question, but can you talk about the visual language of the film? I've been to Cuba, and I just loved being there again through your cinematography. You know, what were your challenges and choices about? Like, I noticed drone stuff. I noticed, you know, probably different. Maybe I don't even know if you use like an iPhone. Did you always use a high quality camera? What kind of, how'd you mix and do that?
Many cameras were used. You can see the many different camera people that we had. We tried to stick to Sony most of the time, and we had DSLRs and different lenses, but we also used our phone because sometimes the card was lost. I mean, the data transfer was kind of a nightmare, like, you know, trying to figure out where it was and what day was that, and oh my God, you erased it, you know, like stuff like that. Yeah. So the visual language is that I'm a painter, and I have been a painter for 35 years. So I'm looking a lot at the cinema and led by the cinema. So sometimes the cinema comes to me before the story does, and then I have to figure that out. And that's not easy. That's kind of like eating too much candy too. So like, you don't want to do that, right? I really felt like there's color in Cuba that's very distinctive, like brown and pink and kind of whitewashed, and you know, there's just certain palettes there that I wanted to make sure made it into the film because that makes it really true to what it is. These kind of colors that are sort of dry and faded in some ways, but also vibrant. And also music, you know, music had to be both the tradition, like Los Fieros, but also the very new kind of music. We wanted to appeal to all, you know, like the young demographic as well. So we thought about that a lot.
I believe our time is wrapping up, but I also just wanted to mention that you can vote for this film for the audience choice if you're a big fan. There's going to be QR codes right outside the theater, and you can also vote for other films as you're enjoying the festival. So thank you everyone for coming out. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have t-shirts for sale outside the theater on the street. Please come and get a t-shirt for $20.